Some interesting goings-on in the case of Google versus Grandma. Previously, we talked about how Fitbit cut off the web dashboard and forced people over to the mobile app, which is very difficult for people with fingers that don't work so well or eyes that don't work so well. Hopefully, you've seen the video that I made that explores that. What's happened since, and we're only in the middle right now, so I'll have to make another video and find out what happens in the follow-up. What's happened since is that I put notice of the YouTube video on the Fitbit community forum, and it was promptly deleted. And when I say promptly deleted, I mean within 3 minutes it was deleted with this note that it was off topic and not contributing to the conversation. So, sure, I waited a little while, tried posting it a second time, and this time I didn't have the direct link to the YouTube video, but instead the way that you could find the video by putting in the search term Fitbit Grandma. And that stayed on for a little while. A bunch of people watched it. And then a couple of hours later, somebody from the moderating team came along and deleted it. Okay? It's also been clear in the community forum that they delete anything that mentions other companies' products whenever anybody's saying, well, I'm not going to Fitbit anymore, I'm going to Garmin, or I'm going to someone else. So I waited for their moderators to go to sleep in the US, and then I posted the video again with this note. I made a video on the subject of Fitbit cutting off the web dashboard. Of course, my post was deleted because it was, quote, off topic and not contributing to the conversation. Haha. Obviously, they want to shut us up instead of fixing the problem. Meanwhile, the people who have seen the video have left nothing but appreciative comments. So I'm asking for your help to get the word out. Please search on YouTube for Fitbit Grandma and leave a comment on the video. 2. If you post here on the Fitbit forum, include replies to this post. Mention how others can find the video, such as the video you'll find on YouTube by searching Fitbit Grandma. 3. In your social networks, drop a note pointing to the video along with an explanation about the story of Google throwing its loyal customers into the dumpster. I put a lot of hours into making this video so that we can bust out of the little walled forum and into a place where a bigger public can know how Goliath is treating us. Since they are going to keep deleting mentions of the video on the forum, please help to spread the word. Now that post stayed online for several hours, and a lot of people got to see it, go onto the YouTube site and watch the video, leave nice comments. Thank you. And then at some point, Lizzie Fitbit came along and wrote, "Hi there, I wanted to let you know that I've removed one of your recent posts. Please remember that discussion of moderator actions is not allowed in the community forums. I will be happy to answer any questions you have and would ask that you contact me or another member of the community team directly with concerns about moderation practice. If you see a post that you feel needs moderation attention, you can always click the flag post at the bottom left of the message. Lizzie Fitbit, Community Fitbit, Moderator." Now I've written this back to Lizzie Fitbit. Tell me what you think. "Thank you for your message, explaining your decision to delete my post. Of course, my post was directly on the topic of the discussion forum, although I appreciate that it may have violated a policy about discussing the actions of moderators. Can you therefore tell me what is an acceptable way for me to inform the members of the community about the video I have made in response to the concerns of so many members of the forum? My first attempt, which had a direct link to the video, was to delete it in 3 minutes with a message that it was off topic and not contributing to the conversation. This is obviously not the case, so the question is, how can it be presented in a way that is respectful to your concerns, my investment of effort in responding to the conversation in a thoughtful manner, and the concerns voiced by the hundreds of participants in the forum? Keeping in mind that the goal is to have an honest discussion among adults, all of whom have come to the forum to seek answers for the specific problem my video and posts attempt to address." So it's been close to a day, and Lizzie hasn't responded yet. If and when Lizzie does respond, there will be a part 3 to this video, I guess. Or maybe she'll respond in time for me to get her response into this video. Meanwhile, a couple of thoughts about free speech and censorship by large corporations. In the case of the Fitbit forum, this is actually kind of a gray area. Google owns Fitbit. Google owns the website on which the forum resides. And Fitbit has a terms of service that you have to click agree to in order to use your watch. So the terms of service governs your ability to use the forum as well. This is an interesting case, right? So you have technically clicked that you have read this page after page after page and agree to everything that they say. Let's look at some of the things that they say. Section 5, posting your content on the Fitbit service. You represent and warrant that your content, blah, 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 blah. Fitbit may, in its sole discretion, alter, remove, or refuse to display any of your content, and may forbid you from posting, uploading, storing, sharing, sending, or displaying your content to and via the Fitbit service. So they have given themselves the ability to censor anything that you want to say. Okay? Section 9, our enforcement rights. We reserve the right, but are not required, to remove or disable without notice and at our sole discretion if we determine that the Fitbit content, or your use of the Fitbit service is objectionable or in violation of these terms. So if one were to be hostile or really do objectionable things, they could take it off. But objectionable is not just saying nasty things about somebody else. Objectionable is highly subjective in this case. So anything that they object to, anything that they think is critical of Fitbit, perhaps, is objectionable to them, even if the members of the community are objecting to something that Fitbit has done, such as cutting off the dashboard, which, let's look, Section 18, changes to the Fitbit service. Fitbit may change or discontinue temporarily or permanently any feature, component, or content of the Fitbit service at any time without notice. Fitbit is not liable to you or to any third party for any modification, suspension, or discontinuance of any feature, component, or content of the Fitbit service. You bought it thinking you could use it one way, but we're changing that way and there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, you did agree to Section 18. And if you really don't agree, Section 19, termination, we reserve the right to suspend or deactivate your account or your access to certain aspects or all of the Fitbit service, or to terminate these terms at our sole discretion at any time and without notice or liability to you. Upon any such suspension, deactivation, or termination, we may delete or remove your content and other information related to your account. So a couple of points. One is, I remember a watch that I used to wear from LL Bean. I'll put a picture of it on the screen here. Went out, bought a watch. It was guaranteed, period. There were no terms and conditions to use the watch. It told time. At some point, the first version of this watch that I had broke and sent it back to LL Bean. They replaced it. Guaranteed, period. And that was the relationship between me and my watch. These days, if you go out and buy a watch like the Fitbit, even in order to turn it on, you have to go through all sorts of setup processes, including this clicking on the "I've read and agreed to the terms and conditions," which of course you have not read and agreed to, page after page of terms and conditions. And then, of course, from time to time, your watch sends you emails saying things like, "My battery is low, run and go charge me." So that's a change. It's an important one because your watch is using a lot more power than the old LL Bean one that I used to wear. But the thing I really want to think about here is the relationship between speech, free speech, and the relationship between big tech and the people who might be interested in something like the forum, where I've been unsuccessfully trying to post links to the Google versus Grandma video. This is kind of weird, right? The only people who are going on this forum are people who have already gone out and bought the Fitbit, and they just want to talk about this product that they bought and the service that they are concerned about privately and in a way that's never going to influence the purchasing decisions of others or the decisions others make about buying into the Google ecosystem. So what is the point of the censorship? Presumably the corporate monitors don't want to lose revenue for the company or reputation for the company in the outside world, but this is inside. This is people who've already bought in just trying to have a conversation among themselves. So why do you have a babysitter sitting there saying, well, you can't say this about the product that you've bought, that you've come onto this forum to complain about, that the entire subject line and every post in here is about disgruntlement and user experience and whether people are happy or unhappy and what they can do about their unhappiness, and trying to communicate that to the corporate overlords. So it's just a strange thing to cut off adults from having a conversation every time they try to say something that offends the corporate sensibilities of the manufacturer. It would be like if your college professor sat there and said, you can talk about the class, you can talk about the readings, you can talk about how you don't like the book that much. You can't say anything bad about the professor. You can talk about how much you like the professor, you can praise the professor when you're at lunch and talking amongst yourselves, but you can't sit there and say, oh, he drones on. You just can't say anything bad. That sort of censorship is within their rights according to the terms and conditions that we click when we buy our watch, but it just doesn't make any sense, does it? And again, I want to stress, I have nothing particularly against Google. It's just Google is this huge corporation, larger than most countries in the world in terms of its economy. And so there are places that make good decisions, places that make bad decisions. Much like I have nothing against Swiss Rail, I use them all the time. I really appreciate their service. But if they do something wrong that's so out of line that a video needs to be made about it, well, go watch this video. One final note, in the previous video, I was urging you to get out and take 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps is about an hour and a half out of your day. I'm in a lucky position where I'm about a half an hour walk from where I work, so I'm able to make the 10,000 steps part of my commute. But there are a lot of other ways that you can work steps into your day. Walk to the grocery store, walk to the post office. When you're at work, figure out ways that you can walk to where you're going to have lunch. You know your own routine, and 10,000 steps is also a lot. 4,000 steps is half an hour. Somehow, though, if you can get at least half an hour of exercise into your day, go out and do it. And if you have the ability to get 10,000, there's nothing magical about the 10,000. But there is something magical about doing something physical every day. When I was living in Africa, this wasn't an issue because out in the countryside, everybody walks everywhere. That's the way you get around. But when you live a more urban existence, we've really lost the physical stimulation of life in a lot of circumstances. There is a way to get it back, and that's just go out and take a walk. So I'm going to go continue with mine. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.